Hey, it's TDA and welcome back to episode 7 of this Dyson Sphere Let's Play. It's our by the book Let's Play where we use our blueprints to get things done faster. Last time we built this nice little yellow science production. We have all the chemical stuff being in production over here. We're actually using our titanium. We're getting some yellow research, and in the meanwhile, off screen, I took some time and built another one of these power rings. Now we have double the power almost. We have a nice little surplus of power so we can continue building. And me building a lot of wind tunnels is probably not something you're interested to watch, so I did that off screen. But if you're playing along with me, make sure that you don't forget about your power in between sessions. Again, we minimize the amount of buildings that we've constructed in terms of these high-end buildings, just so we conserve a little bit of power. You don't have to overproduce power, but because we're always expanding, we will need to improve our power production along the way as well. We have a nice little stack of graphene building up over here. We have some nice acid, etc. It is interesting that now you do have to min-max a few things and double back on yourself. So one thing, for example, that I heavily recommend that you do is, I'm not sure why this popped up, is stack up these science buildings. We've researched the vertical construction, level 1, which now means that we can stack these up a little higher, and that will definitely improve our research rate, assuming that we of course have enough research to put through. It will make sure that we catch up on research a little faster even than we were doing before. Another interesting thing to note here is that we actually have a tiny bit of a problem here. This is all clogged up, so this half of the building is still producing. Why is it still producing? Because the oil is getting drained slowly. We are actually using it in our plastic and acid production over here. This one, on the other hand, is not, because this belt is still full, and this belt is only getting used if there's a gap on these other belts. But because this is not really taking in that much oil, this actually never gets used. Several ways to fix that. You can either make sure that this is the main belt and this one is intersecting with that, so basically the reverse of the situation that we have over here, or much simpler, we just cut this off. This will be more than enough for this. This will slowly start producing again, and by doing so we will make sure this is actually continuing. But again, as you can see, this is going really slow. This is only taking in 1 oil per 6 seconds, so not really the fastest rate in the world. So another easy way to just stopgap that for the moment is to stack a few more boxes on top of this. Let's just make sure there's another 10,000 you can fill. And of course you can always just, for example, do this. It's a little ugly, but I'll just do it so you get a feel for how to do it. That doesn't actually fit, sorry. You just put a new stack of boxes in here, for example. Don't overdo it, because at some point it will start prioritizing one belt over the other, and you don't want this to run empty, of course. But because there's more than 10,000 in here, this will fill up first, and then the remaining will be going into the other belt. So just showing you a few easy examples where you don't have to min-max the production if you don't want to. You can easily do it like this. You don't want to have too many of these kind of open-ended productions that might stack up at some point in your system, because if you do, you will inevitably run into a problem and you have to spend half an hour to figure out where the problem is. But again, this is just a temporary solution. There's only one place basically where we can really get stacked up, and that's over here. The second place where we currently can stack up is over here, because this will run out at some point and we need to go back in. But those are the only two places, and they also in this case happen to be very close together, so it's easy to check on that. Now, what are we going to do this episode? We're going to kind of prepare our space race, so we need to work towards our interstellar logistics stations, which needs quite a few things still. One of the most important things that it will need is titanium alloy. And since we're here, let's build that. I have a nice little blueprint for that, of course, as you should be counting on by now. Just trying to figure out what makes the most sense in terms of how to build this. Does it really matter? I don't suppose it does, but let's do it like... Yeah, let's do it like this. And I'll... If you're wondering why the hell I'm taking so long to decide on this, it will become, I think, a bit more obvious in a few seconds. The titanium alloy needs three things. So it needs titanium, it needs steel, and it needs acid. The acid is coming up from over here, so this was my main consideration to just say, let's do it over here because I can do this. Steel. We actually have no steel over here. We have no iron over here either. So we'll need to bring that in. But we happen to be in luck and have a nice position. The other reason I was doubting is because we need titanium. We have the titanium stack over here. So what you can do is either one of two things. You can either use this little resource, make a belt like that. It fits in between, by the way, so if you want, you can actually do that if you're playing along. That way you have only one place where you simply put in the titanium, and then everything takes care of itself. However, I don't really like that solution because I like to be in control of where my titanium is being used. This actually doesn't really need that much titanium. Again, it's just one titanium per science. So this will be plenty for the foreseeable future to have in there. This space, however, needs a lot more. And by doing it like that, I can make sure that all of this is actually going in here. It's easy to keep track of, etc. My personal preference, but if you want to link up this what are we calling this? These storage units to this belt, of course you can, and by all means do so. It makes it maybe even easier to track. This again is just my personal preference. Then we also need steel. Now steel, we just said, isn't really close, but we were smart. And remember how I've been putting in all those storage units. All the way back in episode, I think it was episode 3, we built this little storage unit. And now, right now, it is full of steel. Now that's very good, because that means that, especially since we brought it all the way around here, what we can actually do is take a few out here, put in another splitter, and no need to set any filters on this one because it's actually going to split it up. And we can bring the belt all the way over here, down there, take it up. And again, it's spaghetti time, but once again, this will become a lot easier once we reach our goal and we have the logistics centers. Now, in my previous playthrough, where I prepared blueprints, this was coming from the other side. It's a little neater that way. I happen to have iron or steel on the other side. In this playthrough, I don't, so from a lot of perspectives, this playthrough is turning out to be a bit of a challenge compared to some of the easier starting locations I've had, but I guess that just shows how flexible blueprints can be. You simply flip this around and now we can have steel over here. We actually now already have all the resources we need for the titanium alloy. We just need to make sure we finish this belt. Let's make sure we charge ourselves while we do that. And there we go. Now, the steel will be going over there. We'll have our titanium alloy production starting up. In the meanwhile, we have another goal to chase. We need to have turbines, and we need a lot, and I do mean a lot of turbines. Now, I have a few blueprints for that because it's actually, like I said before, not the most trivial thing to make. Starting from part 3, so this is the later part of the Turbine production center that we will be building. Let's place that over here. Flipping it around, in the blueprint the iron and copper that we get is coming from the other side. But in this case I think we have a lot of iron over here. We have iron there. I think we had some more sources, so yeah. So we have iron over there, we have some copper over here, we have, even if we need it, we have even more iron over there. Potentially some copper over there as well, but it's a bit inconvenient where that location is. So yeah, I think this is a good place to build this particular build. It's going to be quite big. So this is part 2. Let's make sure it's actually moving in the right direction. It is not. There we go. That's interesting. I apparently flipped that around at some point, but oh well, it works. That should automatically connect. Yes, yes, I've learned from my previous mistakes. And then, last but not least, part 1. So everything else won't be working without this. And again, I think you should be able to connect this. Of course not. Just now I said that it won't connect. So, oh, okay. Well, apparently that doesn't connect yet, but I can fix that after I finish recording. So make sure to connect all of this up. If I forget to fix the blueprint, that is not the most work in the world, of course. And let's stand for a moment over here while we fix this. So we will need quite a few things. So we need some copper. We will turn that copper into magnetic coils over there. We will need, of course, the magnets in order to do that. So we have magnets being produced over here, which we need iron ore for. And then we have also some production of iron over here, which again we need iron ore for. Now, luckily we have a lot of iron over there. So while we're standing here, we might as well see if we can line up some miners. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And that's 4. Now, as always, of course, this is a somewhat inconvenient location. I could have also brought this in from the bottom over there, but we'll just have to deal with it for the moment. This is one of the uglier builds, to be honest, that I have in this series, I think. But don't worry, there's one that's even uglier coming up. It's going to be the next episode, I believe. Oh, wait, this is not smart, what I've done now. This does not make sense. There we go. Let's have that one go there. This one go there. Let's make sure we power everything up. There we go. And we will also need some copper. Now, where did we say the closest copper was? Is that over there or is that over there? This one, I think. Just a tiny little patch of copper. Just 200k. But for our purposes, this will be fine. Now, what I actually don't know. Yeah, I was just wondering if height 1 was enough to get over that building, but it isn't. That's okay. It's annoying. Just trying to get... No, that won't fit. So let's just do it the other way around. And let's go across the top. There we go. We do need, of course, to make sure we power this up. And there we go, and there we go. And as always, we're blowing through our research quite fast. We're actually going to be researching a few things that we don't actually need for the purpose of the next few builds. So some personal upgrades in here, more drones, more speed, etc. This is a good moment to kind of research those kind of things while we can. They're gonna speed up our building process, and that's of course always a nice thing to have. And there we go. Slowpoke mode. I was actually burning through some of the stuff we picked up at the end of the last episode. Not the most efficient way to power yourself. Not just because actually you burn through this really fast, but the fuel chamber generation is minus 30%. So that means not only do you burn through this really fast, the actually amount of the way you can charge is relatively low, because there's actually less than we can actually generate from the fuel. So burning coal is not only more efficient in terms of how long it lasts, it will actually charge you up faster as well. Okay, so this belt is almost ready. Exciting stuff, because that means our turbines are almost good to go. There are still a few buildings missing over here as well, but nothing we can't fix really easily. And I just love how neat this looks. Just the 3 blueprints, I kept them small, just in case you haven't actually researched this particular research here. That will increase our limit from a measly 150, it will increase it to 600. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need, to be honest, for most of the game, the 600 one. But I can imagine that you haven't researched it yet by the time you're in this part of the game. I do recommend that once you've finished the research for the few things that we are building in this episode and the next, if you haven't done so already by then, make sure you research the next blueprint, because that will make your life a lot easier, and we'll be making use of that in a few episodes from now when I show you the more later game stuff. Alright, almost there, almost there. Last few. There we go. Now remember, there's a reason these are not connected. This is the ore, this is the other stuff, the coils, that is. This is all connected, and it should be. So I think this is all working according to plan. Very nice. We have engines being produced, and then we have turbines being produced. And again, this is a little bit of overkill. There's a reason for that, actually, because you can wonder, if you look at this recipe, it takes 2 turbines. Two engines to make 1 turbine. So why am I making 3 sets of engines over here while we're only using them to make 1 set of turbines? Well, the reason for that is I actually want some surplus of engines as well. I want this to be producing at full speed as well, and it is. Barely, but it is. And we have some surplus engines as well, because we will need that for other stuff in a few moments. There is, of course, however, an argument to go and kind of set up an additional spot here where you connect. For example, I'll just show you. You could put in 1 more over here. Actually, that's misplaced just by an inch. And put it over there. Have it grab more from this belt. Oh, you will actually need to take out this one, but the purpose stays the same. Connect that to the engines as well, and you have another turbine production. You can put them to the same belt. This belt will not be full at any point with this production center set up, so you can easily just split it up. And you can actually see I set the sorter here to only grab the green engines, as we like to call them, and the red engines specifically to these 2 things, so they are nicely split up between the 2. But anyway, we won't be doing that for now. This again will be chugging along. We have a nice stockpile building up here, and that will last us for a little while. This is one of the things that you might want to think about multiplying. There is a lot of stuff going in here, so you need a lot of inputs in order to get the maximum amount of stuff out of it. but there is actually more being made here than you actually need. So you could actually put in a few more engines, etc. It's not the cleanest build there is. It's an efficient build. It's an easy build. It's a compact build. But this is one of the things that you, if there's anything you're scaling up more than I'm doing now, I recommend that you do so with turbines. Again, you can never have enough turbines. Like we've been saying that in the earlier game about iron, you can never have enough iron. That's still the case because you can see how much we need for this. But turbines are really going to be the bane of your existence at some point. Anyway, we're almost good to go in terms of setting up for the endgame part. We'll be doing that in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, please like and subscribe. It helps out the channel, have us reach more people. So show them all the fun stuff we've been doing in this playthrough, and I hope to see you in the next one.